project for the next day or a couple days, however long it takes, is to replace our old vegetable garden fence with a new fence that I just got from Critterfence. Here's the batch of stuff that came via FedEx from Critterfence. I ordered it on Friday, I think, and I got all of it except for one piece yesterday, which was Monday, and I got the other piece via FedEx this morning. I'm gonna go ahead and put some flags in at the spots, at the corners. At this point, I really don't know if the gate's actually 5 foot post to post or it's 5 foot, but then there's some hardware. So before I go trying to flag that, I'm just gonna leave the mark that I made at the exact halfway point. And it looks like I should probably assemble the gate ultimately, and then size it up, put it in the ground and worry about it at that point. And I'll have the center line marked at least for when it's time to do that. All right, next we're gonna start with our first corner, and we're going to put the fence sleeve in using the anvil and a sledge. Post has a little screw in it that you have to back out before you can use the anvil. It's 10 millimeter. I'm gonna go ahead and take it all the way out because I'm worried if I leave it a little bit loose and I'm hammering on this thing, it'll come flying off and I'll lose it. Done. All right, we got our 4 corner posts sunk into the ground, leveled up. They look pretty good. We have 3 additional posts plus 2 for the gates. Okay, so we have our main posts in the ground, except for the 2 posts for the gate, which will go in right there. Next move is to put the uprights in the post sleeves. Okay, take this guy, slide it in. Works like a champ. So after, I don't know, an hour and a half or maybe something in that range, we have all of our 7 uprights up and in place and looking good. Hey everybody, we're back again on day 2. We're going to start with assembly of the gate. Okay, 1 corner done. Next, we're supposed to attach these about 12 inches from each corner. This is a 14 millimeter bolt. There you go. Okay, so next we have these guys. You're supposed to put them about 12 inches apart, which is almost exactly what these are. I guess kind of by luck. And then we have to tighten these down sort of in sequence. You know, it's 13 millimeter. Make sure that swings freely. The next maneuver is to do the adjustable tension key. These are the components. By the way, 10 millimeters for the plank. Next we have to just assemble this. All right, next we take it all outside and install it. So what we need to do next is figure out exactly where we're going to put the ground sleeves and get them in place. And the directions say to start with the ground sleeve on the hinge side, which makes perfect sense, and get that situated and then work over. So the first thing I'm going to do is figure out how wide the gate actually is, and then there's my midpoint flag from yesterday. You'll remember we put that in place. I'm going to double check that measurement, and then once I know the width of the 2 upright posts, I'm going to split the difference and figure out where I should put the hinge side post ground sleeve and get that in place. So it seems to me that the best way to figure out exactly how wide the gate opening needs to be is to measure the length of the spreader bar. On the one end, I've eyeballed that up to about the middle of where the gate post is to be. And down here, looks like we're gonna be at 66. Now, 60 is 5 feet, so it's actually 66 for the two posts. So I'm gonna have to basically go 33 inches on either side of my center for my posts. Okay, I have measured them out, and as you can see, I've also put the spreader bar and tried to make sure that my two marks, my two flags for each post, are lined up right in the center of each end of the spreader bar, with the spreader bar basically in place. So it looks like that's going to work pretty well. And now I'm going to put the post in for the hinge side. Before I go too much further, I'm going to look down the edge and make sure that it's in line with the other two posts on this front side of the fence. Looks, if anything, like a tiny bit too far forward. I'm gonna move it back an inch. All right. I think we got it right in line. Yep, that'll do it. All right, now we're gonna take this guy, drop it in, and figure out how high up to mount these gate posts. Okay, so we have the gate kind of tentatively mounted in place. I kind of held it up, got a sense of how high, slid the top gate male hinge piece up, tightened it a little bit just so it was out of the way, then found the right height for the bottom one, tightened it so that it was snug enough to hold the gate for a test run. And then once I was able to set the gate on that one and determine that it's the right height to be able to swing and so forth, then I moved the other one just right up into place so that it was bearing equal pressure and it wasn't pulling the bottom pin out of place either, and tightened that down. So I think we're in pretty good shape. One thing I did do is I have propped up the gate, the little shim of some broken pieces of tile and bluestone to allow the gate to be level while I'm working on it. The directions say do this so it doesn't bend the piping. That makes some sense, but I think it also makes some sense to do this because it just helps with eyeing it all up. Okay, so we've got the started the far side post. What I did was I took the cross piece, put it up in place, eyeballed it up with the upright post for the other side of the gate in place, and our measuring post, or our measuring flag, looked like it was on point. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this guy. I actually had slotted the upright post in these gate pieces just to make sure it was lining up properly. It does look like it would. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just put this in the ground. Okay, now we see if it fits. Looks pretty good. Think it fits? Okay, so we have the first layer of mesh up. You can see it in the background here. It wasn't that difficult to put up, and I was able to put it up on my own without assistance. Would have been easier with two people, but it's doable with one person. One thing that I did also do as I was sort of manipulating the gate and working things out, when we did the project, I had both male parts of the gate hinge pointing up. I figured the gate would just like hang on them. But as I worked the gate a little bit, there was a tendency for the gate to want to pop up and slide off the pins. So what I did was I reversed the orientation of the pin, the male pin at the top of the gate, to point down. So it sort of sandwiches the gate between the, or I guess it sandwiches the female parts of the gate between the male parts of the gate, going up and going down, and that seems to work a little bit better. A couple of tips about putting up the gate fencing. As you can see here, you know, I have to get a really nice rigid affect to the fencing. I would sort of reach with the zip tie and then pull it over. As you can sort of see here, how it's kind of pulled out of shape a little bit. That helps, I think, get a really nice, tight, rigid finish to the gate. And then the other thing I did is I alternated. So for this one, for example, I used the pullover for the gate, for the fence going to that direction. And then for the next one down, I used the pullover for the fence going that direction, and that sort of helped pull it tight around the post. So one option is to get a cable that runs around the top. And I chose not to get the cable because the website said that the fence would remain upright and sort of wouldn't sag even if you didn't have the cable. I wasn't sure about that, but I figured I could always go back and order the cable later if it turned out that the fence did sag. I can tell you from this fence, this is good and rigid. This is the long section. This is the 29-foot section, and it's because there's a middle post, you end up with 14.5-foot runs on the sides of our garden. And this 14.5-foot run is plenty rigid. I mean, it's not going anywhere. There's no real sag in the top at all. So I would say for just a basic garden fence, the cable looks to be unnecessary. Maybe over time there'll be some sagging, but at least upon installation, it looks totally fine to me. One other tip, and this is in the materials and it's worth doing, it was very easy to do, is doing the gate itself. The recommendation is to just fence the whole side as if it's a single piece, and then zip tie the posts, the gate posts, and then zip tie the gate itself, and then cut the fence on either side. And that's exactly what I did. I zip tied the whole thing, and then I just used a little cutter to cut the section of fence out from between the gates. It went on perfect, went on smooth. It was a really good way to do it. Note that if you, like I, are tall, I'm almost 6'4", I did not want to get a 6-foot gate because I didn't want to be hitting my head on the stupid gate all the time. So even though I have a 6-foot fence, I have a 7.5-foot gate, which means you end up with some space at the top of, if you get the 6-foot fence, you get some space at the top of the gate that doesn't have fencing. I'm not worried about that, but you need to, I suppose, be aware of that reality if you're a little concerned. Hey there, Casey. This is my dog, Casey. She's gonna help today, I guess. Hey, quick update. I reversed the tension wire. It should go from the upper hinge side to the lower latch side, and I had it the other way around, which was pulling it down onto the ground. The gate now swings freely and works like a champ. Initial assessments, I would say, are very positive. I like the fence. I think that it looks good. It is rigid without the top wire. It was not that hard to put up. I did it entirely by myself. One-person job. Could have gone quicker with 2 people, but very much a doable job for 1 person. Yeah, we'll see how it works, but initial returns are very favorable, and I would rate it a recommend. Hope this was a helpful video for everybody, and good luck out there with your with your critter protection. See ya.